Hey my loves, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is long overdue. I've been telling you guys that I'm going to go through all of my foundations, swatch them, rate them, all of that, and it's been months, I think it's time. So I've been kind of like avoiding this just because it's a lot, but I need to declutter a lot of, my makeup. Specifically complexion products like concealers, foundations, that sort of thing, because they expire so quickly, and I have a lot of foundations in here that I've had for years that obviously I no longer use because they're expired. But before I toss them out, I wanted to swatch them because I know a lot of you guys use me for reference in terms of like foundations and stuff like that. So I just want to swatch them so you guys can get an idea if you haven't tried a foundation or you're trying to figure out what shade to get. If you're trying to figure out if the foundation's for you or not. So I'm going to rate them, swatch them, and basically tell you guys if I would repurchase or not, and then toss them out. So I'm going to start off with the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Foundation. I use the shade 330. This foundation I won't repurchase just because the formula is too dry for my skin. I would rate this foundation definitely like an 8 out of a 10 because I do think it lasts really, really well. I think it looks flawless. It's just that the formula, the finish is too dry. But other than that, I highly recommend this for oily combo skin. I'm going to be tossing this out, unfortunately, because it is expired. I've had this since it launched. I can't remember like when it launched, how many years it's been, but it's time for it to go in the garbage. Next up, we have the hydrating foundation, also in the shade 330. This one is also going to be a no repurchase for me. I would give this foundation again an 8 out of a 10. It lasts super well on the skin. The formula is just a little too thick. I feel like I have to dilute it with oils or moisturizers, and I feel like it's too much work. Therefore, I just wouldn't repurchase this. But I do recommend, if you want a long wear foundation, if you want great coverage, if you want like a flawless type of finish, this is absolutely stunning. And I actually think that this will work on combo skin, normal skin, and even oily skin. Even though it's supposed to be hydrating, I don't find it to be hydrating. But for me personally, and for super dry skin, I don't think like this is the best option. So this is going in the garbage as well because I think it's expired. And then lastly for Fenty, we have the Eavesdrop Skin Tint. Now this one I have in the shade 14. This is definitely something that I would repurchase. I would give this an 8 out of a 10 as well. I like the formula because it's lightweight. I could definitely build it up, but it's not gonna look, it's not gonna make you look heavy or cakey at all. My only thing and the reason why I'm not giving it like a 9 or a 10 is because of the finish. I would like it to be a little bit more glowy. You guys know I love a glow, but overall it's a really, really nice skin tint for every day. And like I said, it's lightweight. The finish is just natural, so it's great for all skin types in my opinion. So yeah, I would repurchase. Moving on, we have Huda Beauty. This is the glowish skin tint. I use the shade number 8, and this I would give like a 9 out of a 10. I definitely love the glow that it gives. The shade is kind of like a warm shade, so it definitely gives me like this bronzy type of glow. I think this for dry skin is really, really nice because it's hydrating, glowy, like I mentioned. If you have super oily skin, I'm not sure how you're gonna like this, but I personally would definitely repurchase in the future. I just like the overall product, and this is not a foundation, so don't expect coverage. But I feel like it lasts pretty well for like a skin tint. But again, it's very glowy, so if you don't like glowy products, I wouldn't recommend, but I absolutely love it. And then lastly for Huda, we have this is the stick foundation. I use the shade Brown Sugar for 10G, and this foundation is amazing. The formula is very creamy. I feel like it glides on like butter. It looks super flawless. I feel like it lasts pretty well. This foundation, in my opinion, is better for like normal, dry, even combo, not necessarily oily. I feel like it might be a little bit too glowy maybe for oily skin. I think there's better formulas in terms of cream foundations for oilier skin types, but I really, really like this. I would definitely repurchase this product, and I would give this an 8.5. just because I have other cream foundations that I absolutely love. So yeah, I would give this an 8.5. Alright, so moving on, we have Giorgio Armani. This is the Luminous Silk Foundation. I use the shade 8.75. Now, this foundation, I definitely give like a 9 out of a 10. The formula is just stunning. It's like a really nice high-end luxury foundation. The shade is not the best, but it works. You know what I mean? It's a little bit just warm, but not too much. This is just great for like everyday, in my opinion, because it's not too heavy. It has a natural glowy finish to it, so it's not super dewy, but it's not matte either. I would definitely recommend this for all skin types, in my personal opinion, and I don't find it to be heavy at all. I think it's like a super flawless airbrush foundation. This is something that I would definitely repurchase, and I definitely recommend if you're looking for like a high-end luxury foundation. And then we have the Neo Nude True Skin foundation. I use the shade 8.75 as well. Now this I give a 9 out of a 10 as well. It's just glowy, it's natural, it's skin-like, it's just beautiful. I personally like the formula of this one better than the luminous finish, just because it's a little bit, I feel like it's more lightweight, more for everyday. Both are amazing, but I feel like for everyday, this is like a better option. I would definitely repurchase. It's beautiful. Highly recommend. I just don't know what else to say. In terms of the wear, I feel like 6 to 7 hours, it still looks really nice. I don't find it that it looks like oily or anything. This one obviously is going to last you longer because it has a little bit more coverage. But overall, both of these are amazing. So 9 out of a 10 for both. Moving on, we have YSL. This is the new Bare Look tint. I can't seem to find what shade it is. So I'm going to put it here on the screen, you guys, because I feel like it's probably right in my face, but I'm missing it. But this right here, it's a clean like tint, skin tint, or foundation, whatever you want to call it. I would definitely repurchase this. I would probably give this a 9 out of a 10. The shade works. It's beautiful. It's glowy. It's hydrating. It looks like skin. I don't have to mix it with anything. So for like the everyday minimalistic type of person, go to work, go to school type of vibe, this is great. If you have oily skin, I'm not so sure you're gonna like this. Again, a lot of the products that I have here are not necessarily meant for oily skin because they have a glow or like a luminous finish to them. And this is one of them. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend for oily skin, but overall it's beautiful. And for a tint, it lasts pretty well in my opinion. Moving on, we have the Glossier skin tint. I use the shade G5. This gets a 9 out of a 10 for me. Even though it's super lightweight, this is a super sheer product. So if you're looking for a foundation that's going to cover up blemishes and dark spots, all of that, this is not for you. This is just for kind of like evening out your complexion, but it does not look like you put on foundation, if that makes any sense. Absolutely love the shade. It's golden, spot on. And this to me is equivalent to the MAC Face and Body Foundation. Only difference I would say is I like the shade better for this one. And this one's not waterproof. This one is. So yeah, but other than that, it's beautiful. Again, I only recommend for those of you who like a glow and those of you who like a very lightweight, sheer, almost like no makeup type of look. So I would definitely repurchase, and yeah, I'm keeping it. So moving on to Makeup Forever, this is the Water Tone Foundation. I use the shade Y434. I would probably give this a 8 out of a 10. I like the formula. It's lightweight. It's very skin-like. The shade works. I don't have to mix it or anything. But it's just, I have tried so many different foundations, so many other formulas that I just don't see myself repurchasing this. It's not that it's bad. I think it's absolutely like beautiful, but it's not like my favorite. You know what I mean? So I would definitely recommend if you like the MAC Face and Body Foundation, if you like very lightweight type of products like that. It's almost like a skin tint. And I almost forgot, the pump for this foundation, I don't like it. It's not consistent. I feel like it spits out the foundation. So That's another reason why I'm giving it an 8. So yeah, I wouldn't repurchase, but I'm going to continue to use it. It's pretty watery, just so you guys know. And then moving on to the Reboot Foundation, also by Makeup Forever, same shade, Y434. I would give this also an 8 out of a 10. It's definitely more luminous than this one. It definitely has more coverage than this one. I personally do like it, but it's not my favorite, you know. So I wouldn't repurchase, but again, I will continue to use it. I do recommend for those of you who have normal, dry, combo skin, not so much oily. And then lastly, for the Makeup Forever line, we have the Ultra HD Foundation Stick in the shade Y445. And this I give a 9.5 out of a 10. It's one of like the best, cream foundations that I've used. Very, very dewy. The coverage is amazing. It lasts super well on the skin. The shade is the only thing that's not like my favorite because it's kind of neutral, and I wish they added more shades for this foundation because it's great. It's like a great formula. Even for contouring, it's just so beautiful. It's like butter. That's the best way that I could describe it. So I would definitely repurchase, and I'm definitely going to keep it. Moving on to what I consider one of the best brands when it comes to golden undertones, which is Miss Bobbi Brown. This is the skin foundation. I use 2 different shades. My perfect shade is Golden Honey 5.75. It's the perfect shade. It's spot on. This foundation gets a 9.5 out of a 10. Easy. It's flawless. It lasts. It's just gorgeous. This for normal, dry, combo skin works perfectly fine. And I feel like even if you have oily skin, this will work because it's not a super dewy, luminous type of finish. Definitely has a glow to it, but not excessive. And when I'm super tan, only when I'm super tan, I use the shade number 6 Golden. Unfortunately, this has to go to the garbage because it's separating like crazy. It's disgusting. This shade right here, Golden, it's okay. The 5.75, but the 6 is disgusting. So yeah, I would definitely repurchase. I'll definitely recommend that foundation all day, every day. And then next up, we have the foundation stick, and I use the shade again, Golden Honey 5.75. Another amazing cream foundation. Definitely an easy repurchase for me. This I would give a 9 out of a 10 as well. It's creamy. The shade is just perfect. Again, this foundation, normal, dry, combo. And I feel like this is not a super dewy kind of finish when it comes to cream foundation. So even if you have oily skin, I think you should try it. It's not as dewy as the Makeup Forever. It's not as creamy as the Makeup Forever. So I feel like for oilier skin it will work. But this foundation is gorgeous. It's just stunning. I highly recommend. Out of the 2, I do like the Makeup Forever better for sure, just because it's a lot more creamier, more luminous. I just wish that this shade was for the Makeup Forever, but yeah. Last up for Bobbi Brown, we have the Intensive Skin Serum Foundation, and I have the shade Golden because they don't make the shade Golden Honey for this one. It's a beautiful, glowy, like skincare type of foundation. I would say like they're similar. It's just this is more glowy, but it's more natural looking, more lightweight because it's not like a regular foundation. Like I said, it's a skincare foundation, whatever they call that. I probably would give this an 8.5 out of a 10. I'm not like obsessed with it, but I think it adds such a beautiful radiant glow to the skin for like every day. It's definitely pricey, and that's another reason why I just don't rate it higher. But I want to repurchase like anytime soon, just because, yeah, it's definitely expired. I do have to get rid of it, but I feel like for mature skin, that's one of those foundations that I highly, highly recommend. Moving on, we have MAC Cosmetics. This is the Face and Body Foundation in the shade C6. This is an easy repurchase. I give this foundation a 9.5 out of a 10. It's lightweight. It definitely lasts really well because it's waterproof, it's water resistant. Love using this when I travel, especially like for hot weather. You could swim with it, you could work out in it, you could cry, you could sweat, all of that, and it's not gonna budge. It's definitely on the lightweight side, so you're not gonna get coverage with this, but this for every day is like amazing. Highly recommend. Definitely gonna keep this one because this one's brand new, but these two I've had for a long time, so I'm definitely gonna back to back this. So I'm glad that I'm able to recycle this instead of just throwing it out. But I highly recommend this foundation for those of you who just want something to even out your complexion without adding so much coverage. My only complaint would probably be, and that's the reason why I'm not giving it a 10, is the shades, the undertones. Where are the golden undertones? But other than that, it's a beautiful foundation. Moving on to another favorite of mine. This is the Studio Sculpt. I use the shade NC44. This is definitely more of a gel type of formula. This is another easy purchase for me. I give this probably like a 9 out of a 10. It looks very glowy. So this for normal, dry, even combo skin will work. Oily, not so much. I just like the fact that I can apply this and I don't have to blend it out for a long time. It's an easy foundation to work with. And the finish is dewy. It's not super, super luminous, but it definitely has a dewy finish. This looks stunning. Like, I really recommend this. I feel like a lot of people sleep on this foundation and it's beautiful. And then lastly, for MAC, we have the Studio Fix Studio Matte foundations, which unfortunately, I think they're getting discontinued. Both of these, well, I have NW45 more for warming up my face, bronzing, and then NC44 is my actual shade. This, I wouldn't repurchase just because, again, I have other cream foundations that I absolutely love. But I highly recommend this more so for combo skin and oily skin and normal. Not so much dry unless you're okay with adding oil and stuff. It's not overly drying or anything, but I wouldn't recommend this for dry skin. I feel like it's not the creamiest formula for dry skin. This I would rate it an 8.5 for sure. It's a beautiful foundation, but it's getting discontinued, and yeah, it's still good. I'm not gonna back to MAC this just yet because it's not expired, but yeah. And I think if you check the MAC website, it's on sale for like $10 or so. So if you want to try it, I would definitely recommend. You're gonna get a nice little discount, and yeah, I don't know. It kind of sucks that they're getting rid of it because I find that it's a nice foundation. So moving on, we have Smashbox. This is the Healthy Glow All-in-One Halo Tinted Moisturizer. I use the shade 10. This gets a 9 out of a 10 for me. It's definitely glowy. I would definitely repurchase this. It's a beautiful tinted moisturizer, and for a tinted moisturizer, I think it has great coverage. Like light to medium coverage, I would say. Again, this for oily skin, I'm not thinking it's the best option, but I just think it's beautiful. It blends very easily. The shade, it works for me. It's a little warm, but it works. And I love the fact that they actually have great undertones and just shades overall, because usually other brands that have tinted moisturizers tend to have like this grayish, very kind of like casket ready type of look to them. So I feel like if you're looking for a tinted moisturizer, you will like this, but again, not so much if you have oily skin. And then next up, Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Light Wonder Foundation. I use the shade number 9, which is what I'm wearing at the moment. This foundation, I would probably give like an 8.5 out of a 10, just because the shades, the undertones are not like the best. I feel like she needs to work on her golden undertones overall. But it's definitely a dewy foundation. Recommend more for normal dry, maybe combo, not so much oily. I would say this is like a medium type of coverage. Definitely just great for every day. Would I repurchase? Definitely I would repurchase, but I'm gonna continue to use this because it's still okay. It's not expired just yet. Again, it's not like my favorite foundation, but it's a beautiful formula. Moving on, we have the KOSAS Tinted Face Oil Foundation. I use the shade 7.5. Shout out to my girl Jamie for putting me on. I will love you forever for that, because this is one of my favorite foundations, top 3 for sure at the moment. And this gets a 10 out of a 10. If I can give it 100, I'll give it 100. It is so glowy. It just has great coverage, but it's very like liquidy, which is so weird. It does have essential oils in there, so that's why it has so much glow. This for oily skin, it's definitely a no. Dry skin is a dream. It's such a beautiful foundation. Every time I wear this, I get so many compliments, like so many compliments. It never fails me. Absolutely love it. Moving on to ILIA, so we have the Super Serum Skin Tints SPF 40 foundation. So I have 2 shades because I first purchased ST13, which was too warm, and then I got sent 12.75, which works a lot better. This foundation I give a 9 out of a 10. The only reason why it's not getting a 10, because it should get a 10, is the undertones and the shade range is kind of tricky. Therefore, this foundation you can only, in my opinion, I just feel like it just looks really well when you apply it with your finger instead of a brush or a sponge, because it does have that sunscreen in it. So it might make you look kind of like ashy, or it can make you look a little bit too warm depending on the shade that you get. So this is something that I recommend that you try in store instead of buying it like online if you don't know your shade. But it's glowy, it's dewy, it's luminous, it's a clean brand. It's fantastic, you guys. I absolutely love this. I would definitely continue to use this, continue to purchase in the future. But again, the only reason why it's not getting a 10 is because of the undertones are kind of like tricky. But other than that, for the minimalistic type of person, if you like a lot of glow, highly recommend. This for oily skin is definitely a no-go, like a no-go. Moving on, we have Rare Beauty. So this is the, I don't know what it's called. I forgot what it's called, but I have 2 shades here. I have shade 380W, which is the one that I purchased first. And then I went ahead and purchased the shade 360W. And I feel like I'm in between the two. I feel like I have to mix the two to get my perfect shade. Overall, this foundation is definitely a 9.5 out of a 10, I'm gonna say. Yeah, it's that good. It's lightweight. I feel like it's super affordable. The formula is incredible for dry skin, normal skin. Again, not so much for oily skin, but I feel like you can make it work. I just love how it looks, how it applies. It lasts super well on the skin. I never have problems with this foundation, like creasing in my fine lines or getting cakey or feeling heavy. It's just such a beautiful formula. I feel like Selena in the beginning, when she first came out with her brand, people were dragging her, and she definitely pulled through because she has amazing products. So if you haven't tried this foundation, I highly, highly recommend it because it's beautiful. Moving on, we have the Chanel Le Beige foundation. I use the shade BD71. This foundation gets a 10 out of a 10 for me. 10 out of a 10. You hear me? It's glowy. It's just flawless. It's gorgeous. And my favorite thing about it is the shade and the undertone. It's spot on. I don't have to mix it. It is golden. Perfection. Just perfection. It lasts really well on the skin. Definitely will repurchase, definitely recommended. In terms of high-end luxury foundations, this is one of my top 3 in terms of high-end luxury. Just beautiful. Moving on, we have Nars. So for Nars, I'm going to start off with the Soft Matte Complete Foundation, which I had purchased in the shade Tahoe. Now, it's still in a box because you guys, if you saw my review on this, you will know that it just didn't work out for me, not because it's a bad foundation. I actually think it's stunning. I highly recommend this for combo and oilier skin types. Not so much for dry. I feel like it just emphasized a lot of my pores, a lot of texture. That's why I wouldn't repurchase. This foundation, I'm going to give like an 8.5 out of a 10, only because of the finish. Other than that, I think it's stunning and it's pretty long wearing, but it did kind of crease up a little bit around my mouth area, but I think it's beautiful for oily skin. So yeah, I wouldn't repurchase this. I have to give this to someone that is definitely going to use it, because I've only used it maybe like 3-4 times and it just didn't work out for me. But it's a beautiful foundation. It's just not for dry skin. Moving on, we have the Tinted Moisturizer, and I have the shade Santiago, which is the new shade, and then my original shade, which was Cuba, that got discontinued. I'm so sad. This was definitely my favorite tinted moisturizer of all time. I mean, it still is. It's so glowy, it's radiant, and it has great coverage for a tinted moisturizer as well. My only complaint now is that the new shades just don't work as well. They got rid of the golden undertones. I'm not sure why. So for that reason, I'm giving it a 9. Otherwise, I would have gave it a 10, because it's just a beautiful formula. So I am going to get rid of my Cuba because it's empty. There's nothing in here. I'm going to continue to use Santiago, but hopefully in the future they bring back Cuba, because this shade is just not for me. But this is an easy repurchase for me. And then we have the Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation, which I have in the shade Syracuse and I have in the shade Tahoe. I have to mix because one's too neutral, one's too warm. Never works, and this is disgusting, you guys. It's separating, so both of these are going in the garbage. This foundation, I have a love-hate relationship, and the reason for that is because it transfers like no other. I've never had so much problem with transferring when it comes to foundations like I've had with this one. Other than that, when I tell you this is flawless, this is just perfection. If you want your skin to look amazing for like your birthday, a wedding, you're going out, you're going on a date, this is just like the best option for that. In my opinion, is flawless. But it transfers, and you guys know I don't really like using a lot of powder to set my foundation. So I feel like, because it's definitely like a medium buildable foundation, I wouldn't call it full coverage. I've tried full coverage foundations and I don't think this is full coverage. Some people are going to disagree with me, but I know what full coverage is, and yeah, it's not heavy at all. It's just that it transfers. That's the only thing. Oh, and I forgot. It creases a little bit around my smile line, so that's another issue. Would I repurchase? Yes, but not right now. I don't think that this is something that I need to have at the moment, because I have other foundations that I'm absolutely in love with, but I would definitely repurchase. I give this foundation a 9 out of a 10 if it wasn't for the fact that I had to mix and for the fact that it transfers. But other than that, stunning. And then last up for Nars, we have the Sheer Glow, and I use the shade Syracuse. There's nothing sheer about it. It's definitely glowy, but not sheer. It's medium buildable coverage. I give this foundation a 9 out of a 10, and I'm not giving it a 10 because, again, just like this one, I find that I have to mix it to make it work, because this shade is just not perfect. It's a little kind of like gray looking, especially around my mouth area. Another reason too is the fact that there's no pump. I feel like it should automatically come with a pump, but I mean, what's new? It lasts beautifully on the skin. I do think that this is one of those foundations that works on all skin types. Even though it says sheer glow, it's not luminous, you know. It adds a natural glow from within, but not super luminous or dewy. So I highly recommend, if you haven't tried this foundation, I think it's beautiful. Between the two, this is definitely more glowy. This one definitely has more coverage, but I feel like this one doesn't transfer and this one does not crease on me like this one does. So I would say like that's like the difference between the two. And I give that foundation, I already rated, right? Like a 9 out of a 10. I just wouldn't repurchase. And the reason for it is because I'm tired of buying 2 foundations from Nars to make it work. I feel like they need to add more in between shades because I'm tired of buying 2. So yeah. Moving on, we have Miss Anastasia, which I have to get rid of because it's separating really bad. This is the Luminous Foundation. I had purchased the shade 360C. This gets a 9 out of a 10. To me, this is just an equivalent to the NARS Natural Radiant Foundation, but I like the Anastasia one just a little bit more because I don't have problems with it transferring and I don't have problems with it creasing around my smile line. So that's the reason why I like this one better than the NARS. However, I'm not giving this a higher rating than the NARS one because I gave this one a 9 as well, because I had such a rough time trying to find my shade. The undertones are off. Everything looks very neutral, very orangey. I don't know why it's so tough for companies to make golden undertones. They make every other undertone except for golden. It works. I don't really have a problem with this shade. But again, it's just like the concealer. I had such a hard time trying to find my shade. So would I repurchase? Maybe. Not right now though. But yeah, I highly recommend. It's flawless, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. Moving on, we have Kelly Naquan. This is the Stripped Nude Skin Tint. So another skin tint. I got the shade Deep number 8. And listen, this is such a beautiful product. It is so glowy, it is so lightweight. Unfortunately, I have to give this like a 7 out of a 10. Not because of the product, but because of the shade range. It's horrible. I feel like they only have like maybe what, 7 shades or so, 9 shades. I feel like 9 shades because there's one after this and that's it. The undertones are horrible, and I feel like they're really like missing out on money because this is a beautiful skin tint. Like I would have used this every day if I could, but obviously they don't have my shade, and this is way too. Let me just show you guys. It's just too deep for me. I've used it, don't get me wrong, but I had to mix it with other products so it's not like so warm on my skin. But I'm really bummed out because that product is beautiful. It's glowy, you guys, and it has really nice coverage for a skin tint if you want to build it up. But just on first application, it looks like skin. So yeah, I wouldn't repurchase this. Mind you, I didn't purchase this. This was sent to me, but I wouldn't purchase it. Unless they added more shades. But yeah, I give this a 7 out of 10. So moving on, we have, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Oma Beauty. This is the Say What foundation. I got the shade Honey T3W, which works pretty well. It's a little bit warm, but it works. This foundation is definitely more on the matte side, so I wouldn't repurchase. This right here, I'll probably give a 8 out of a 10. I was just not impressed with the formula. Sorry, not the formula, the finish. So it lasts really well. It definitely has great coverage, like I said, but this is more so for like combo oily skin, not so much dry skin. This is definitely expired, so I'm going to toss it out. But yeah, I wouldn't repurchase. I would consider this kind of similar to, where did I put it? The Fenty Pro Filter foundation. It's kind of like that same vibe. So yeah, that's the reason why I just wouldn't repurchase. But it's a really nice formula. Moving on, we have the Traceless Stick Foundation by Tom Ford. I use the shade 7.2, and this is another 10 out of a 10. Definitely a repurchase. It is definitely pricey. It's a high-end luxury brand, but I highly recommend it if you're looking for a cream foundation. I don't think this is for oily skin whatsoever, but when I tell you my skin looks like butter, these two right here to me are like equally the same. It's just one's liquid, one's cream, but they're both glowy and natural and skin-like. They last just my favorite right now. Just to be honest, these two are my favorite right now at the moment. And I just highly recommend if you like cream formulas. Moving on, we have Mented. This is a stick foundation cream formula. I have the shade L40, which is a little bit too warm. My actual shade is L30. Beautiful black owned brand. It's creamy. It looks like butter. It has great coverage, medium buildable. I give this definitely like a 8.5 out of a 10 just because, again, the Makeup Forever foundation stick and then the Tom Ford foundation stick to me are just perfection. And I don't think anything else can top that in terms of cream formulas right now. That's the only reason why I'm giving it an 8.5. Other than that, I feel like it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's just everything. And I feel like it's definitely worth checking out. You know, I would definitely repurchase this foundation. Moving on, we have the Pat McGrath foundation, and I purchased the shade medium 19. This foundation I would give like an 8 out of a 10. Not because it's a bad foundation. I think it lasts really well and all of that. But personally, the formula was not my favorite. I would have loved for it to be a little bit more glowy. It's definitely more of a natural, velvety type of finish. And the shade, I wish she had more golden shades. I tried 17 and it was just a little bit too cool tone, too grayish looking. And then 18 was just not working. And then 19 was like the best option in terms of like the undertone. But it was a little bit too dark for me. But I made it work, you know, so the shade is not really a problem. It's just more so the formula. I was not like really obsessed with it. But I will say it's super lightweight. Does not feel heavy at all on the skin. And I just wouldn't repurchase just because it's pretty pricey. And I really didn't use it that much. Unfortunately, this is expired, so it has to go. All right, next up we have the LYS. This is a triple fix serum foundation. I use the shade TG6, which works really well. I give this foundation a 9 out of a 10 for sure. I love the formula. It is super glowy. So this for oily skin, I'm not so sure how you will like it. The formula just feels very just light, even though it has great coverage. I don't find it to be heavy at all. This is a clean brand, black owned brand. And I would definitely repurchase. Definitely repurchase. I think it's a beautiful foundation and it's not expensive either. Like, it's really affordable in my opinion for such a great formula. Highly recommend. Normal, dry, and combo skin. Oily skin, not so much. Moving on, we have the Infallible Pro Glow by L'Oreal. I have the shade Classic 10, which is 210. This foundation is another one just like the NYX. That's great in terms of drugstore. The glow is insane. It's just beautiful, flawless. Have to toss this out because I've had it for years now. It's expired. My only issue is the shades. The undertone, I wish they had more golden shades like I mentioned, but I make this work. It's just that this is more of a shade that works on me when I'm super tanned. Because yeah, it's kind of like warm. I give this foundation again a 9 out of a 10 because of the shades. Other than that, it's perfection. I love both of these. They're beautiful. Moving on, we have the Born to Glow by NYX Cosmetics. I use 2 shades. I mix them, golden and then golden honey. Because one's a little bit too light, one's a little bit too warm. This to me is one of the top best drugstore foundations that I've tried. It is everything for dry skin. It has great coverage. It's super long wearing. It's just beautiful, but unfortunately, it's expired, both of these, because the last time I used them, I mean, when I had purchased them, I think it's been like 3 years or so. If you guys can go back to the video when I filmed it, I don't know. But yeah, if you're looking for an affordable foundation, highly recommend. It's stunning, but it has to go. I give this foundation a 9. No, a 9. A 9 out of a 10. A 9. And that is it, you guys. I am done. Thankfully, I had decluttered some of my foundations a while back because I had others. Otherwise, this video would have been super long, so I'm glad that I got rid of those. But overall, you guys, a lot of the foundations that I have here, I'm going to toss out because they have expired. The other ones, obviously, I'm going to continue to use. I'm going to keep. And this is not the end of me talking about foundations, because I want to kind of like now go over like my favorites, my favorite foundations, and just kind of like break it into 5, like my top 5. So that video will come up real soon. But I think you guys know which ones are my top 5 at the moment right now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was not too long. I'm sorry if I didn't go in depth when it came to the foundations. I'm sorry if I was kind of like repetitive, but I didn't want this video to be too long because it's a lot. It's a lot. All I wanted to do was declutter and get rid of what I can't use anymore, and kind of give you guys some swatches for those of you who are interested. So check the description box. I will list all of the foundations down below. Again, this look right here, if you're interested, I am going to post it probably after this video because I did film this look. And follow your girl on Instagram at Simply Diana J, and TikTok at Simply Diana J. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you all in my next video. Bye, beauties.